Hi everyone, welcome to Backyard Chef. I'm Rick. Today is a video I promised everybody about my pastry, and this video is going to explain why my pastry is 98% better than yours every time. My shortcrust pastry, that is, whether it be sweet or savoury. However, I will explain exactly why, the breakdown of what I do and everything, and I will justify what I have just said. However, if you make the pastry this way, you will make pastry equally as good as me, or better, first time out. I'm going to dispel all the myths to do with pastry. I've got a temperature gun here, and we'll take the temperature of everything. There is absolutely nothing ice cold from the fridge. It's all here room temperature, and I will make a better shortcrust pastry than 98% of you out there. Now, I'm not bigging it up, I'm not being clever, you know me on this channel. I will prove it, and you will make better pastry than me with no reservations whatsoever. There's nothing to be scared of. It's easy. Okay, now I was watching something a few weeks ago about some top chef who I really admire, and he was bleating on about flour in a freezer, ice cold butter. What a load of tosh, and I'll prove it. Okay, let's crack on with this, and as we go, I'll explain the components of vinegar, salt, egg, flour. I'm going to use margarine, and I'm going to use shortening. Now, you can use butter, not a problem. I'm going to break all the myths and make it easy for everybody to understand they can make the perfect pastry first time. Let's do it. Come on. Okay, the bowl. Oh, nearly dropped the egg, look. The bowl. Now, I'm not sure how we're going to do this, because we've got to get that camera to register this gun. So, I will just come here. As you can see, that is focused on that bowl at the moment. This has not even been turned on, so we're going to turn it on now. These are brilliant, by the way. So we turn it on, and I'll turn it round, and we'll point it in here and see if it'll pick up the reading. That is the temperature of this bowl, 32 degrees C. So it's not even ice cold. The reason it's 32 degrees C, it's sat on the side here, and it is 32 degrees C. Easy as that. Okay, what we have to do is weigh out our pastry, our flour. Let me just turn this the other way around so I can see what I'm doing. There we go. That is on that camera. Let's reset it to 0. Reset to 0. You know it works. There's our bowl. You can see the weight of the bowl. It's 253 grams. We're going to reset that to 0, and we're going in there with 420 grams of flour. I can't see, I'm the wrong way around. Now, don't panic if it goes over or slightly under. Who cares? You don't have to start scooping out. Obviously, if you've got 500 grams in there, you're well over. That is our flour. What temperature is that flour? That flour is 25 degrees. Now, this is bog standard plain flour in the West, all-purpose flour everywhere else. We need to measure out or weigh out our fat. Now, we want 50 grams butter or margarine and 150 grams shortening. So we can reset. Now this is margarine. It's actually butter flavoured margarine. Okay, we've gone slightly too much. I've got 63. 50 grams, 150 grams. If that's 60 grams, it's just slightly over, but that doesn't matter. It's 60 grams, so we want 140 grams of shortening. That will do. That is close enough. Now this is baker's shortening. You can get various makes online around the world. You can use lard. It is 100% fat. Okay, we've got that. That's fine. We don't need the scales now. What we do need to do is get a temperature reading of that fat, and then you know what we're doing. So let's go back on with this. That fat, I can't see in that monitor, that fat is 25 degrees. It's not ice cold from the fridge. Salt. Salt is optional to what you want to put in. Salt. Right. As we're going now, let's start explaining exactly what is going on in this bowl. Can you still see that? What is going on in this bowl, okay? Now, I am looking here because there's a monitor, okay? There's nothing else, there's a monitor there. I was going to take that camera, but then I had trouble putting it back. There's a monitor there. I'll make sure this is sharp when I'm pointing at it. Okay. Now, the fat content, the combination of shortening and margarine or butter contributes significantly, try saying that with no teeth, significantly to the flakiness of the pastry. Like I've just explained, shortening is 100% fat, which actually contributes to the tender texture of pastry. The margarine or butter contributes to the richness, flavour in the pastry. So by using both the shortening and the butter or margarine, you have the best of both worlds. You have flaky pastry with a flavour. It's as easy as that. Okay, the salt that we put in there, okay, the salt enhances the flavour of the pastry. It also strengthens the dough structure. So that's offering a good balance between holding its shape and tenderness. So that little bit in there already, we've got shortening for the tenderness, butter for the flavour, we've got the salt which is strengthening the dough slightly, and obviously we've got plain or all-purpose flour. So that is that bowl at the moment. We have an egg. The egg's temperature is 25 degrees. Everything's going to be 25 degrees, you know, that's what this room is in here. It's in from outside, outside's up there to the 30s, in here is 25. That egg is 25 degrees. Give it a beating. Okay, why do we use an egg? We use an egg to help bind the pastry. It's also for richness and colour in the pastry. You know, when they make pasta, they make pastry with egg yolks and flour, and you've got a yellow pastry, and it's very pliable. Also, with the fat content that's actually in the yolk of the egg, that also helps with the tenderness of the pastry. So it's a win-win. Right, explanation of the egg. Now, actually we do want that. We want 65 mils of water. Can we get that on there? We're back on again. Okay, let's just put this on. And we'll weigh out the water. So we want 65 mils. Now, that is the same as 65 grams if you weigh it out. Of course, it's hard doing this the wrong way around. Okay, we've just slightly gone over by 1 gram, but that doesn't matter. Put that to one side. What's the temperature of this water? Where's that from? Ah, there we are. What's the temperature of this water? Amazingly, oops, where are we? I can't see. Amazingly, it's 25 degrees. Now you're going to say, well, everything's 25 degrees. Is this working correctly? Well, the human body's 34 to 35 point whatever. There's my hand. What does it say? It says 35 something or other. So I'm alive and this is working correctly. So that's 25 degrees. That's in there. A little mix up. The small amount of water that's in here helps bind the dough without actually activating the glutens in the dough. So that again is helping for making the pastry tender. Now, the bit that's caused the controversy on all the videos is apple cider vinegar. Now, I'm not going to weigh this out. I'm going to squirt it in. Apple cider vinegar, about that much. It doesn't matter. Apple cider vinegar, okay, is not going to curdle this or taint it in any way whatsoever. Now, apple cider vinegar tenderizes the dough by breaking down the gluten strands. So that is contributing to a flaky pastry. So it's helping prevent it become tough. So everything works together in unison. Okay, we're going to mix that up and we'll put that in. So, you know, all those contents in there are 25 degrees. My hands are 30 degrees. So what? Okay, we're not bigging it up. We're making pastry. Pastry that everybody can make at home. Stop fretting about all this blurb that we've had drummed into us for years and years. The pastry has to be the butter has to be ice cold. Don't touch the pastry. What a load of cobblers. I make pastry on a boat. I make pastry in the jungle. I've made pastry 40 degrees, no fridge. I don't listen to anybody that says anything about shortcrust pastry. I had a lady the other day on the channel. You can't make pastry like that. It doesn't work. I just politely said, I don't have a problem with pastry. My pies are okay. Just have a look at all my pies. Now, I'm not bigging it up. It's true. And everybody out there can make pastry the same way. Now, this recipe has been out there for a long time. It's on all my pastry recipes. However, the explanation of why is not there. I will guarantee now you will see this type of pastry being used all across the world with people claiming it to be theirs. But you know, I worked this out about 20 years ago. Many people have seen it, but this is how I make pastry all the time. It's so easy. You know, look, we're not doing anything. We've got no machines. We're just lifting, we're rubbing. All these people say, "Oh, you've got to do fingers and thumbs. Twaddle. You do fingers and thumbs to start off with to break the fat content into the flour. That is all. After that, you lift, you rub. We're trying to get these breadcrumbs. It only takes 5 minutes to do this pastry. It's nice and straightforward. Now, if you wanted to make a sweet pastry on this, you would put in a tablespoon of icing sugar or regular sugar. That is all you do for a sweet pastry. Okay, there, that is good enough. We're not going to go any more than that. So we've done all that whilst you've been watching in the temperature we've got now, not a problem. That mix, I've got dirty hands actually, I'm going to have to wash my hands so I can put the thermometer on there so you know what that temperature is. Okay, there is our liquid in there. There is our temperature. (26 degrees) now. Of course it is. The temperature's going up. So that's 26 degrees. Our mix is 27 degrees. So none of this is ice cold. Take your fork, which you've just beaten your mixture up with, turn it round, so you're going to use that end, and chuck that in there. Now it's not magic this, it's all done in front of your eyes. Give that a stir in. So this will dispel all the myths of making shortcrust pastry, and I've given you a full explanation why it works every single time. So for all those people who are going to say it doesn't work, I'm afraid you'll just have to stick to your own pastry. It's as easy as that, really. Okay, I'm going to take that off there. We're going to bring the pastry together. Can you see that? We're going to bring the pastry together. So basically then, what we've got with everything that's going on in here, they're all contributing to the final texture of this pastry and the taste, the flavour, obviously. Now you can see how crumbly this thing is already. It's perfect shortcrust pastry that anyone can make first time out. Don't be fooled, don't be brainwashed anymore by the nonsense about pastry having to be clap cold, freezing and left in the fridge. So this has the combination of the fats for flavour and texture. It's got minimal liquid in for tenderness. It's got the apple cider vinegar in there, which is softening the glutens. We put the egg in for richness and colour. And the salt. And that salt we put in, you know, that's enhancing the flavour. And it's helping strengthen the dough. But we're not overworking the glutens in this dough. Look, can we get that on there? If I break that, you can see that that is a flaky pastry. So that has just bust the myth wide open, and everybody else that is convinced that pastry can only be made and put in the fridge. We're going to take it one step further. I'll put the oven on. we're going to preheat the oven. I'm going to preheat it for 170. Let that whir away in the background. Our pastry, split it in half. That's good enough. I'm going to bust this myth wide open too. Okay, let's just put that there. This is going in cling film. Okay, we've got some cling film. So you're seeing all this as we're doing it. There's nothing, no trickery here. Cling film. That piece, cling film. Squash it down as per all my videos, just to make it easier. Okay, there we go. Done. Nothing hard about that. That's going to go in the fridge. Let's bring this back. Just alter that lens. Okay, let's bust it even further. Now this is what I use all the time for pastry. It's fantastic, okay? It doesn't really stick to this. It's granite. In fact, it's Indian granite. That's irrelevant. It's granite. It's the same as what you would have on a work surface. I just had a couple cut, and this is normally the size of the pastry that I physically go to for my big tins, so I don't have to work anything out. I can just roll it to this. Irrelevant. Okay, we're going on there. Flour. This pastry, as you can see, has not been in that fridge. Okay. We always use a liner. I always line out the bottom. All it is baking paper. Okay, I always cut it and I always line all my pie tins at the bottom. I have done for years and I always will. It does prevent it from sticking. Also, even though it's paper, it actually helps the heat conduct on the bottom of the pie, even through the tin. Worth noting. We're going to stick that in there. In. Okay, and then all we're going to do is we're going to do that. We're just going to put it down like we would with any other pastry. Now I'm doing this quickly, obviously. So let's bring that in there like that. What a fork. Ooh, we need a fork. We're going to blind bake this straight in there, straight from warm, not cooled down. Dispel the myth. So that's quick, okay? I've got some scissors. Let's just take off that really heavy excess. I'm not going to take off the lip. I always leave a lip. You've seen me do it so many times. That holds the pastry up on the casing, and I just whiz around with a knife afterwards. That choice is up to you. I'll give you the reason why I do it. I have made pastry so many times, and you do the old, oh, let's roll that over there, and it sinks. When you bake it, it sinks below the top of the tart tin. So we're just going to go around there, make sure we're going to end up with a nice fluted edge by squashing it into the tin. Okay. I'm going to take some parchment paper. Now, when you do any baking, most people know, get the parchment paper, give it a good screwing it up, and it makes it pliable to fit in. Put that in there. Now, I'm using baking beads. You can use rice, you can use whatever you want. What we're doing is weighting down the pastry so it doesn't lift, it doesn't come in. Okay, we're going to shove that in the oven and we're going to blind bake it very quickly, 15 minutes. We are putting that in there. We are going to pre-bake that for 15 minutes on 170 this time. That's it, 15 minutes, and we will be having a look at that. Pastry like this can be reused. Okay, wrap it up in cling film, stick it in the fridge, you can reuse it. You can also freeze it. This pastry is the best fail-safe rich short crust pastry you will ever make. And you can make it. Everybody can make it. I've explained why it all works, so I hope you understand. Well, there we go, it's finished. Okay, so we're going to get that out of there. We're going to bob that on there. We're going to take those beads out of there. Now they're extremely hot, be careful. Now there is our pastry tart there, okay, and you can see, look, this is flaky already. It's perfect flaky pastry. It's not rested, it's not been in the fridge, it's not cold. What we're going to do, normally we would crack an egg. This thing might rise a little bit. Normally you would crack an egg and you would brush your egg on the bottom, seal it all off, and then put it back in the oven. We're just going to put that back in. We'll put that back in for 5 minutes. So we want that in for 5 minutes. So there we are. That is our pastry, not rested, not cold. That's bust all the myths open. And then what I would do normally then was take a knife, sit it in a tray so you can throw all the crumbs away, and just gently flake off the crust. This is how I prefer to do pastry for something like this. Now you do it any which way you want, it's entirely up to you. Okay, there you have it. That is Pastry 101, why I make my pastry the way I do. Oops, that's too hot. And why it's 98% better than anyone's out there. You can do it too. Here's the crust, and you can see that is just such a wonderful short crust. So that's it. Hope you like this video. Hope you understand the explanation of my pastry, which is very easy to make. Have a go yourselves, let me know. Obviously, if you make pastry the old-fashioned way and you're used to doing it that way, stick with it. No one's telling you to change. I'm just showing you this is a foolproof way of having the best short crust pastry you will ever make, first time. Okay, so on that then, if you like the video, don't forget, like and subscribe, share with your friends, and we will catch you in the next video. Thank you. And I've got to clear all this mess up.